one's starting to get the seeds on it, or spores. You see on the underside of the leaf, these leaves don't have anything, but the upper ones here have all these little brown dots.
Those are what they're talking about when they say spores.
Those are spores.
Huh.
They're sort of like seeds, but they don't have any nutrition attached to them. So, which passes around. So when those spores are blown off into the air and land somewhere, they depend upon landing in moist soil where they can get the nutrition from the soil. Whereas a seed will actually have a little nutrition with it. Like when you break open a peanut, you'll see the little germ, which is the little tiny pointy thing. And then you'll see two, they're called cotyloids, which are the things you eat. Germ you can eat. And those actually provide nutrition to the germ so that it can get a start growing before it has to put out some roots, put out some leaves, get some nutrition, from sunlight, from soil. So the seeds that have the cotyloids on them have a head start, whereas these that have just spores on them have to get what they can on the ground right from the get-go. And actually, before the early 1900s, each of the individual towns were responsible for maintaining their roads. There was a state law that said, I think each man in town had to devote a certain number of hours to maintain the road, and each person who had a team of horses had to use the horses for a certain number of hours to maintain the roads in the town. Obviously, this was before the Department of Transportation. And not everyone really bothered maintaining the roads very well. So this is about what the roads would look like. One of the things they did, of course, as you can see with all the water in the road, spring rains would come down, they'd wash away the mud, and they'd leave the rocks. So then the people in the town would see that the road is full of rocks, so they take the rocks out, throw them to the side. Now next year the rains would come down and wash out the mud and leave the rocks, so that people would take out the rocks and leave the dirt. If you notice how high the ground is over there and how high the ground is here, that could be why it's so low in the middle of the road is. Just through the continual process of taking rocks and mud out brings and levels the road down. Now as you see, once these roads have been put into the landscape, they stay there. I mean, we may get some trees growing up in the middle of them once they've been abandoned.
That's a 75-year-old tree, right?
Yeah.
So that's roads before 75 years?
It's been more than 75 years since it's been used. But the roads, unless someone comes along with some equipment to dig it up, the roads will stay exactly where they were. Now another thing you'll notice is that tree over there. That's called either a wolf tree or a nooning tree. You notice all the trees around it. They all seem to be small, and they all seem to be similar age. Whereas that tree obviously is much bigger, much older, and its branches spread out. Look at the other trees around it, and the branches are very compact together. They grow up, but not really out very much. What happened is when this original land was cleared, this was used either for pasture for sheep or for farming, probably pasture on this slope. And the farmer would leave one of these trees every so often at the edge of the field. So during the summer when it leafed out, it would give a place for the livestock to rest in the shade. Or as they also call them, nooning trees. This will give a place for the workmen in the field to sit under the shade at noontime and have their lunch. So whenever you see a very old tree that spreads out, well, the reason it's spread out, of course, it didn't have any competition from other trees around it. So that's called a wolf tree or a nooning tree.
Thank you.